We're following the Garfield Road fire. We want to take you live now to Bryceville, where we are getting an update from forestry officials.
Let's listen in.
That's right. So we are now looking at the second briefing of the night. We are hearing from FHP and forestry as well, and they're going to give us the latest on this this fire that has burned nearly 400 acres now. So what do we have here?
Right, we're still working. We have several bulldozers on the scene that are continuing to plow containment lines around the fire. We have about 50% of it we feel is very confident that it is contained. There's still a lot of work to be done, and they'll be working throughout the night to improve those lines, increase the size so you can get four-wheel drive engines to drive them and actually do the mop-up that's going to start early in the morning. So putting water, stirring hot spots with hand tools, and just a lot of really arduous, dirty, and really taxing work for our firefighters, and a lot of that is yet to come.
Now, for those folks who just joined us early at 10 o'clock and just now at 11 o'clock, they may have not heard what started this fire. At 10:30, we got some new information, didn't we, as to what started this fire?
Right. I spoke to the supervisor on scene, and he told me the gentleman was burning paperback books, so household garbage, which it is illegal to burn in Florida. You can only burn yard debris if you meet the appropriate setbacks and if it's legal in your county. So it was an illegal burn, paper. It got away from him. We contained it about 5 acres, and then it did quickly get away from them once the wind picked up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it just ran to about 400 acres.
What's the biggest difference that we're seeing from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock now? If anything, I'm seeing more agencies come out here. I'm seeing more FHP officers, Jacksonville Sheriff officers as well. A lot of agencies, I imagine.
Well, right now we're going through a shift change. We're bringing crews in that have been out there working all afternoon, getting them some rehabilitation and some refreshment, and then doing an actual shift change so that they can get back to their stations, and we can bring some fresh crews in for the overnight hours.
Now, there may be people who still don't know the condition of their home. Can you say when they'll be able, is there any estimate at this time when they'll be able to return and check on things?
Currently, right now, our plan is to continue the evacuation effort as needed overnight. And then tomorrow morning, we will reassess the situation and declare whether people can return to their homes or not. But again, we're just trying to make sure that we've got this thing well mopped up, well contained before we start allowing people back to their homes.
And for some of our viewers who have just joined us, you did say that you are confident that it's contained at this time. Have
about
there been
50%
about
of it is
50%.
contained. There's still a lot of hot ash and ember and a lot of danger out there still, and it's not a safe place to be. So if people are there, they do need to leave and go to one of the shelters. It's just very dangerous out there still.
Are there any injuries that have been reported of any kind at this time?
Not at this
None that's
time.
been reported to us at this time, no.
And again, just to kind of rehash one of our last times, I know this may be the last time that we speak to you all for the night. Could you just kind of go ahead and tell me? So this was started by someone who was illegally burning, and then it was a fire that was around 5 acres, and then it got to 400 acres?
Right, it got away about 2 o'clock this afternoon is when forestry received the call from Nassau County Fire, and we brought the bulldozers to the scene and got lines all the way around it pretty quickly, and then the winds did pick up with the gusty winds at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and pushed it outside of those containment lines around 3 or so, a little bit later, and it just really took off running very quickly. A lot of thick timber out there. It is dry. The pine trees are greening up, so they're very volatile this time of year in the spring, and it's just a dangerous situation.
What made this an illegal burn?
That they're burning household paper. You cannot burn household garbage or books or anything like that. You can only burn clean, dry wood, leaves, and yard debris if you meet that 150-foot setback from your neighbor's home.
And what consequences do they face at this point?
Well, it was an accident, right? So they are, at this point, they've been issued a notice of violation saying they are in violation of the Florida statutes, that they did an illegal burn. They'll also be issued a suppression bill. So whatever the forestry bill for all the equipment and personnel that's here, that will be issued to them as well. It could be several $1,000s. And then they're civilly liable for any damage that this fire has caused as well. So that's going to be a whole other issue with the landowners and the homeowners whose homes were damaged.
And one of my last questions for FHP, a lot of roads still blocked off. What is your manpower doing now?
It is. We're also going through the shift change that the EOC mentioned earlier. Florida Highway Patrol, as well as our other law enforcement partners, will remain on site throughout the evening and into the morning hours. You know, as of right now, not only public safety but also first responder safety is very, very important to us. So for the people that are evacuating still at this time, going to the shelters, they need to be very cautious while driving through the area on these highways. That way everybody is safe, including our first responders, firefighter crews, and all that. So we want to make sure we we urge that side of caution there, and encourage people, as mentioned before, go ahead and evacuate. There is a reason this is still a very dangerous area. Go to one of the 3 shelters that is provided. In addition to that, the fairgrounds have been opened up for displaced livestock, so if you need a place for your livestock, that's a safe place to put it. But first and foremost, life is obviously more important than property. So
thank you all so much. And there's that one number as well that you all mentioned.
So again, if citizens are displaced or have any questions or need assistance in the overnight hours, please call 904-548-0900. We have folks there that are more than willing to address their questions.
Thank you all so much. So again, just a quick wrap up for you all at Channel 4. It doesn't sound like too much has changed in the past hour. We know that about 50% of that forest fire has been contained. What you're seeing now is a lot more agencies here at this scene. We have Flagler County, St. Johns County, JFRD, so many agencies all coming together to help at this fire that is now 50% contained. Nearly 400 acres burning here, 10 to 15 structures, homes to be exact, that were either a total loss or completely almost damaged. But again, you're seeing a shift change, a lot of exhausted folks here, but they are not stopping. They are working into the night, and hopefully we'll have more information coming up in the morning show. I'm live, and of course, as we get more information, we'll be putting on newsforjax.com as well. But I'm live. Francesca Amaker, Channel 4, the local station.
All right, thank you, Fran. Emergency management officials want people who live near the area to have this number saved. It's on your screen right now, so write it down. Take a picture if you like, or if you're just watching on your smartphone, take a screen grab. The number is 904-548-0900. There you can call and get information about the fire at any time. They also have information about the evacuations, the shelters, and getting help if you need it. 904-548-0900. Well, tonight we know there are 3 shelters open to people who had to evacuate.
There's Gray Gables Church. That's at 54031 Church Road. Also, Callahan First Baptist. They're at 45090 Green Avenue. And Bryceville First Baptist Church is 7732 U.S. Highway 301. Channel 4's Kent Justice has been at the official shelter this evening at Bryceville Baptist Church. And Kent, any word how many people are using the services tonight?
Yeah, it's interesting as they come in, Mary, and it's a great question. They are signing in, even for the folks who aren't necessarily staying or inside the auditorium here that's the makeshift shelter, because some cots have been brought in by the Red Cross. They got tables and chairs up for people to just sit and wait while they find out what's happened with their homes. But people are checking in. I saw a man come in just a little while ago who went straight to Pastor Terry, he's the pastor of the church here, and said, do I need to check in or something, because the police wouldn't let me down this road. I need to go check on my family, and they said I needed to come register first. So what they've been doing, Mary, is getting people to check in, sign in, so if somebody else calls the shelter here and says, hey, have you heard from so-and-who family member, then they've got a record of it. This is a very busy, bustling scene one moment and then kind of quiet the next. Right now we're kind of in that quiet period, but just an hour ago, this trailer from the American Red Cross disaster relief trailer had shown up, and that's when people started bringing cots out. They have 40 set up right now. Nobody's on them yet, but we've been inside, and here's some of that video now of what we see inside. Nobody's setting up their belongings there, and as I talked to some folks who have evacuated, it's because they really don't want to stay here. They will if they need to, but they are hoping that they'll find out that their home is not in danger and they'll be able to go back. The first couple that showed up tonight with a couple of daughters, the foursome, when I visited with them just after 9 o'clock tonight, very downcast, said all we knew is we had to leave. I talked to them just moments ago and said, have you heard any update? They said, no, we wish we would, but we haven't heard any update. The 2 daughters just walked by a moment ago as well. I said, have you heard any updates? They said, no, still waiting to hear. There's going to be a lot of waiting to hear tonight for the folks who are coming here and probably sleeping here and hoping that they get to go home sometime overnight or probably in the morning and find their homes, whether they've been damaged or not. Live at Bryceville's First Baptist Church, Kent Justice, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Kent. All night, the Weather Authority's John Gond has been giving us his perspective on the conditions that firefighters are facing.
John, we heard emergency management say that the weather is playing a huge role in this fire spreading quickly. What factor will the weather play overnight?
And again, better conditions now. The big story, I think, started this afternoon as we had that westerly wind go 180 to a northeasterly wind. It was kind of a southwesterly, then a northwesterly, then a northeasterly wind, and that made it very difficult for those firefighters to keep chasing it down. Which way is it going to go next? Because that wind kept changing direction. But here on out, those winds are going to come out of the same direction. As we look back to the exact location where all this is playing down, you can see again, there's the forested area. Started here, traveled down to the southeast, and then just flared up, moved towards the southwest with that northeasterly wind pushing that smoke, which is in yellow here, all across much of the western half of Nassau County into much of Baker County. That's where the smoke will be thickest early tomorrow morning for what it's worth. See this line here? These are your fire lines. There's your 50% containment. If you had a box, square it off, 25, 25, there's your 50% contained. This is going to be the tough part. And the tough part really is all about tomorrow. Tark, as we take the forecast from overnight to tomorrow, look at the temperatures and winds. Temperatures may be going down, but those winds will be building up all throughout the daytime hours. These are sustained winds from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning all the way through the afternoon hours, 15 to 20 sustained, which Tark means we could see gusts to 30. That's going to make it a challenge and a half for those firefighters if they can't get it all suppressed overnight tonight. Something I kind of doubt. It's a big fire.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much, John. Good perspective there. Well, the conditions near the fire lines are getting dangerous as we go into the night.
As it gets darker, that's for sure. Eric Avanier was there. He was told about 90 minutes ago that he and his photographer needed to move. Eric, you were able to speak with people who live right where those evacuations were happening?
That is correct. In fact, we spoke to one man. We actually pulled up kind of right in front of his home when we arrived on scene, and we immediately saw this guy. He had his water hose, him and another guy. They were basically spraying the house, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" He says, "Hey, we're just trying to protect our house." He said that they were asked to evacuate, but he was not leaving. I want you to listen to a little bit of the conversation we had with all of this.
No, this is way worse, way worse.
What makes it worse?
Just where it's at and the direction of the wind. Before, like I say, it was down here towards the east of us, and everything was headed towards the forest. You know, with this here, everything's headed towards the houses.
Yeah, that was actually definitely a scary situation because, you know, you just never knew where the fire was actually going to blow. I mean, for a while, when the sun was up, we definitely experienced quite a bit of wind, quite a bit of wind gusts. And there were times when the winds would actually shift directions. Now, bear in mind, we were about a quarter of a mile away from everything. And at one point tonight, we had officials come up and ask us to leave because they were still bringing in more equipment. Now, I can say that since we have relocated to this location, because right now we are on the outskirts, or shall I say the outer edge of where the staging area is. We're some 4.5 miles from where the fire was taking place. Since we have moved from there, we have seen quite a few units going in and out of there. Obviously, you heard earlier on that there is a shift change, so we're starting to see some of those people come in and alleviate some of the people that have been out here fighting this fire pretty much all evening. So it's been a very interesting night, and I'm sure it's going to be a very long night for quite a few people. So on that, I'm going to toss it back to you guys.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.